Before time, there was only harmony, a kingdom of peace and radiant unity. The angels dwelled in this realm, worshipping the Creator, source of all light. Archangels like Michael and Gabriel led the host in loyal service. At the center stood the Almighty's throne, surrounded by indescribable brilliance. Seraphim shielded their eyes from his overwhelming glory. Even the greatest angels bowed in reverence. Among them was Lucifer, the morning star, most beautiful and exalted. His voice led the choirs in worship, his presence closest to the throne. In this perfect unity, there was no strife, only peace and worship. Heaven reflected the Creator's perfect will. But even in paradise, a story was about to unfold. Lucifer embodied divine beauty and authority, adorned in radiant jewels. His voice moved the heavens, his wings shimmered with every hue of light. He stood at the throne, entrusted with immense power. Second only to the Almighty, he guarded the highest mysteries. Yet, a spark of ambition ignited within him. No longer content, Lucifer's heart grew heavy with desire. He began to covet the throne itself. The morning star, once the bearer of light, now longed to be equal to God. The seeds of pride took root. Heaven's harmony was about to be tested. Outwardly unchanged, Lucifer's heart churned with pride. He dwelled on his greatness, the serpent of ambition tightening its grip. The joy of heaven became a burden, praise felt hollow. Resentment grew as he saw himself as an equal to the Creator. Darkness crept in, ambition turning to rebellion. The unthinkable, challenging the Almighty, took shape in his mind. Heaven's perfect order trembled. The morning star was falling. Lucifer's discontent spread, infecting other angels. He whispered doubts, promising equality and glory. Many, seduced by his vision, began to listen. The unity of heaven cracked, a chasm forming between loyal and rebellious. The fabric of heaven unraveled. Rebellion flourished in secret. The stage was set for conflict. Whispers became open rebellion. Lucifer gathered followers, forming a disciplined army. Their light flickered with darkness, loyalty shifted to Lucifer. He drilled his legions, preparing for war. The heavens echoed with tension and the clang of celestial armor. The forces of rebellion swelled. Lucifer, consumed by darkness, led them toward the throne. Unease swept the heavens as Lucifer's army marched. Once beautiful angels now flickered with malevolence. Their march thundered across the celestial plains. Formations tight, weapons ready, they moved with chilling precision. Lucifer, wings shadowed, led with ruthless determination. His face, once radiant, now masked in darkness. In his hand, a spear forged from his own rebellion. The final confrontation loomed. The rebel host surged toward the holy mountain. The four living creatures guarded the sacred ground, eyes blazing. Lucifer approached, undeterred, silencing his legions. For a moment, only the beating of his wings broke the silence. The living creatures stood firm, sorrow and anger in their gaze. The air crackled with tension. The fate of heaven hung in the balance. Lucifer faced the living creatures, defiance blazing in his eyes. "We are here for the throne. Step aside or face the consequences." The guardian stood unmoved, loyal to the Creator. Lucifer turned to his legions. "Today we claim what is ours." A roar erupted from the fallen ranks. Weapons clashed, shattering heaven's peace. The air pulsed with anticipation. The battle for heaven was about to begin. Before battle erupted, a voice of pure authority echoed, "Stand down!" The rebel army froze as the Almighty appeared, radiant atop the holy mountain. His gaze pierced the hearts of all, even Lucifer. For a moment fear flickered in the morning star, but pride returned and Lucifer laughed in defiance. "So, you emerge at last. I thought you too weak to face me." The Almighty's silence was heavy with judgment. Creation's fate hung in the balance. The Almighty's light pushed back the darkness. Angels shielded their eyes. The living creatures prostrated themselves. Loyal angels sang in awe, while the fallen felt only fear. The Almighty descended, his presence shaking the heavens. He stopped before the armies, his gaze sweeping over all. His voice, quiet yet thunderous, broke the silence. "Lucifer, my creation, my morning star, what madness has gripped your heart?" The final reckoning had come. Lucifer recoiled as if struck. The Almighty's words, spoken with a calmness that belied their power, pierced through his defenses, stirring something deep within him. It was a fleeting echo of his former self, a whisper of the love and loyalty he had once felt, but he crushed it ruthlessly. "Madness?" Lucifer spat, his voice dripping with venom. "You call this madness? I was your most trusted, your most beloved, yet you kept me chained, a gilded cage. I am the morning star, the bringer of light, yet you would have me grovel at your feet for eternity? I am done with your servitude." A tremor ran through his form, a physical manifestation of his rage and defiance. His angelic features twisted, his wings darkened, his very essence warping under the weight of his rebellion. He transformed, becoming something monstrous, a dragon of immense size and terrifying power. 7 heads, each crowned with a crown of darkness, rose from his serpentine neck, their eyes burning with a cold, malevolent fire. "I will not be denied," Lucifer roared, his voice a cacophony of hisses and snarls. "This is my domain now. Bow before your new king." He opened his 7 maws, unleashing a torrent of fire and shadow, a blast of pure destructive energy aimed directly at the Almighty. The loyal angels gasped, their voices rising in a chorus of alarm. The very air crackled with the raw power of Lucifer's attack, the force of it threatening to tear the heavens asunder. But before the blast could reach its target, 2 figures, wreathed in blinding light, intercepted it. Michael and Gabriel, the mightiest of the archangels, stood unflinching, their forms radiating a power that rivaled even Lucifer's own. Michael, the warrior angel, his face a mask of grim determination, raised his flaming sword, its blade glowing with celestial fire, deflecting the brunt of the attack. Gabriel, the messenger, his expression a mixture of sorrow and righteous anger, raised his trumpet, its sound a piercing clarion call that shook the very foundations of heaven, dispersing the remaining energy. The shockwaves from the clash rippled through the celestial realms, throwing angels to the ground and sending tremors through the holy mountain itself. The battle lines were drawn, brother against brother, their former bonds of love and loyalty shattered beyond repair. The sight of Michael and Gabriel, his former comrades, his brothers in arms standing against him, fueled Lucifer's rage. "You would betray me?" he roared, his voice filled with anguish and betrayal. "You side with him, with the one who would keep us all as slaves?" Michael and Gabriel exchanged a look, heartbreak in their eyes. They had served alongside Lucifer for eons, their bonds forged in creation itself. Now, twisted by ambition, Lucifer stood apart, consumed by darkness. "We serve only the Creator," Michael said, sadness in his voice. Lucifer laughed, defiant. "The Creator is a tyrant who hoards power. I will shatter his throne and bring freedom." The battle for heaven had begun. The Almighty watched, sorrow in his eyes. The time had come to act. The heavens trembled as the forces of light and darkness clashed in a storm of unimaginable fury. Angels radiating divine light or chilling darkness fought with desperate conviction, their ethereal weapons crackling through the sky. At the heart of the chaos, Lucifer and Michael, once brothers, battled with fury that shook heaven's foundations. Lucifer unleashed torrents of fire and shadow, his defiant roars echoing across the battlefield. Michael met each attack with unwavering resolve, his flaming sword blazing through the darkness. The fate of creation hung in the balance as angels fought for all that was pure and just. The battle raged for what seemed like an eternity, a timeless struggle between light and darkness. Lucifer, his fury turning cold, realized he was losing ground. He unleashed a torrent of fire at Michael, but the Archangel deflected it with his flaming sword. Lucifer struck, sending Michael crashing down, his sword lost. As Lucifer pressed his attack, a sudden wound of blinding light appeared on his chest. In Michael's hand, a new sword, born from the very essence of creation, materialized, turning the tide of battle. The new sword pulsed with divine energy, its light banishing the shadows that clung to the battlefield. The loyal angels, their spirits lifted by the sight, renewed their assault, their voices raised in a chorus of defiance. The fallen angels, their confidence shaken by this unexpected turn of events, began to falter. Gabriel, seeing the tide turning, raised his trumpet once more. He closed his eyes, focusing all his will, all his sorrow, all his hope, into a single, piercing note. The sound that emerged from the trumpet was unlike anything the heavens had ever heard. It was a sound that seemed to encompass the totality of creation, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, a sound that spoke of both unimaginable destruction and boundless love. The heavens themselves seemed to crack under the strain of that sound. Planets trembled on their axes, stars flickered and died, and the fallen angels, their forms contorting under the weight of that sound, were hurled back as if struck by a physical force. Lucifer, his ears ringing, his vision blurred, staggered back, his 7 heads swaying. He had underestimated the Almighty's power, the unwavering loyalty of his angels. He had allowed his pride, his ambition to blind him to the truth, and now he was paying the price. The Almighty, sorrow and righteous anger in his eyes, stepped forward. He raised his hand, and the battle ceased. The loyal angels lowered their weapons, gazing at their creator. Lucifer, scarred and broken, met the Almighty's gaze, silent and defeated. "You were my morning star, my most beloved, but pride poisoned your heart." The Almighty raised his hand, and a chasm of darkness opened beneath Lucifer. "Depart from me," the Almighty declared. Lucifer was cast down, his ambition forever unfulfilled. A profound silence fell upon the heavens. The echoes of battle, the clash of celestial energies, the cries of defiance and despair, all faded into the stillness. The chasm that had swallowed Lucifer and his legions closed, leaving no trace of their rebellion. The air, once thick with tension and fear, now felt cleansed, purified by the Almighty's power. The loyal angels, their faces etched with exhaustion and the lingering sorrow of betrayal, slowly lowered their weapons. The light of battle faded from their eyes, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude and awe. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, their faith in the Creator reaffirmed. The Almighty, his gaze sweeping across the assembled host, saw not just warriors, but beloved children. Their spirits tested, their loyalty proven. A look of profound love and compassion softened his features. He had not wished for this conflict, this division among his creations. But he knew that even in the darkest of times, even in the face of unimaginable betrayal, hope remained. He raised his hand, and a wave of peace, of healing energy, washed over the heavens. The wounds of battle, both physical and spiritual, began to mend. The scars, a reminder of the sacrifices made, the lessons learned, would remain. But the pain, the anger, the bitterness all faded, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose, a deeper understanding of the Creator's love. "My children," the Almighty said, his voice resonating with love and forgiveness, "the darkness has been vanquished, but the battle for creation is far from over." He gestured towards the distant realm of Earth, a swirling sphere of blue and green teeming with life in all its forms. "A new dawn is breaking, a new chapter in the grand story of creation, and you, my faithful angels, have a vital role to play. Go now," he continued, his voice filled with gentle urgency. "Go and be my light in the world. Protect the innocent. Guide the lost. Spread my message of love, of hope, of redemption. Remind my children that even in the darkest of times, my love for them will never waver, my hope for them will never die." The angels, their hearts filled with renewed purpose, bowed their heads in acceptance. They had witnessed the terrible consequences of pride and ambition, the devastating power of darkness. But they had also witnessed the unwavering love of their Creator, the boundless strength of faith, the enduring power of hope. And so they went forth, these messengers of light, their wings carrying them to the far corners of creation, their hearts filled with the Almighty's love, their voices echoing with His promise that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, light would always find a way. For that is the enduring truth, the eternal promise of creation.